Okay, mass shootings are not what they're telling you they are, and it's time to open that up. When I grew up, there was about one mass shooting every 10 years. Now they say there's one every day. There are no more guns around today than when I grew up. If you can't figure out why there are more mass shootings today than ever before in human history, you have been brainwashed by mainstream media, because the media does not want you to know the real cause of mass shootings. If you look at these shootings, you will find that nearly every one is associated with the shooter taking or withdrawing from psychotropic medications, also called SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. These medications were introduced to the public in the late 1980s, right before the time when mass shootings started to become a thing. As SSRIs became more widely used, mass shootings became more common in lockstep with the use of those drugs. An investigation of mass shootings shows that SSRIs and similar drugs are a factor in nearly every mass shooting, not just one or some, not just a coincidence. SSRIs are almost always a factor in mass shootings. These drugs are prescribed for depression, anxiety, psychological instability from PTSD. These drugs take fragile mentalities and they break them, shatter them into homicidal rages. The only reason you don't hear about this is the pharma industry buys more advertising and pays for more of the media you watch than any other advertiser. Media outlets do not want to say bad things about SSRIs because they will lose advertising revenue. So your media does not want you to find out that mass shooters are always struggling with SSRI addiction, withdrawal, or dependency. They deliberately withhold that information from your news reports. Despite what you may think, it's nearly unheard of for non-drugged people to go on mass shooting sprees. To get that crazy, you generally have to be drugged. Anyone who says that mass shootings are because of guns is missing the entire point. Mass shootings are because of drugs. Legal prescription drugs, drugs your doctor recommends, drugs your pharmacist is glad to sell to you, drugs that the medical industry tells us are perfectly safe and good for you, drugs that your television tells you to ask your doctor about. Those drugs turn people into killers. And roughly 13% of the American population was on those drugs as of 2020. You think SSRIs are good for society? They calm people down? They kill people. The drugs kill people by turning users into mass murderers. When you take drugs to alter your mood, you are playing with something very dangerous. When you give drugs to children, you are turning a young life in the wrong direction. Mood-altering drugs turn people into weapons of mass destruction. Yes, I'm saying that SSRIs should be taken off the market, and everyone who has been taking those drugs should be watched very closely until they overcome any addiction. The withdrawal period is a time when homicidal rage can occur. SSRIs cause as much or more violent crime than recreational drugs like fentanyl, heroin, methamphetamine. Why are SSRIs even legal? Profit, greed, pharmaceutical propaganda, political corruption. That's why. You don't think your government knows about this? Don't kid yourself. Your government wants to take your guns away. They don't care if you're on drugs. They make money when you're on drugs. They are using the SSRI crisis of mass shootings as an excuse to enact gun control. They want you to be on drugs. They always exploit the mass shootings to try and take away your guns. It is what they call never letting a crisis go to waste. If you don't like mass shootings, you need to call for SSRIs to be taken off the market and urge your friends, family, and doctor to stop using them. If you are prescribing, making, promoting, or selling SSRIs, you are complicit in mass murder. If you don't think so, then you need to look at the correlation between SSRIs and mass shootings. We need to go back to a time when there are no mass shootings, even if that means we must cope with some anxiety and depression without taking drugs. We need to end SSRIs and mood-altering medications today and find a safer and more sane way to regulate our moods. If you want gun control, if you want mass shooting control, You will not get it without drug control. If you would like to express a different viewpoint about SSRIs, you're welcome to do that in the comments below. But we cannot pretend that SSRIs are not associated with violent incidents. This is now well demonstrated. We are living in strange times where only if a few people die, we're told that's an acceptable risk for a pharmaceutical product. Killing people with drugs is not okay. Even one person. If people are dying, we need better drugs or safe alternatives to drugs. You may have a story about how SSRIs really helped you, but unfortunately, they're killing a lot of people, and we have to find a better way. It makes no sense to try and prevent disease or emotional problems by killing people.